want to just share some brief information with you about electronic and digital media and how it compares in some of these senses against print. So sustainable forestry. I think probably this is where we spend a lot of our time answering questions and where people have a lot of concerns. You know, we all get the bills in the mail that say, if you want to save a tree, sign up for electronic billing. We get a lot of messaging every day that if we don't print, we're going to save a tree and we're going to save forests. So I'd like to share some information with you, first of all, about the health of the forests in North America, and then secondly, about some programs that are in place that are helping make sure that those forests are sustainable and that they're legally harvested. 1/3 of the United States is forested. 1/3 of it. That's 751 million acres, and that's more trees than we had 70 years ago. The forest land in the last 30 years has increased by 5.3 million acres. And something that might be of interest to you, each tree can absorb 10 pounds of CO2 in a year. And in the forest and forest products industry, those products store enough carbon each year to offset approximately 10% of our nation's CO2. So forests are very important. 2/3 of our drinking water come from forests. Well, what you might not know is 60% of all the forest land in the United States is privately held, it's privately owned. And in the forest products industry, 91% of the fiber that we get to make our products comes from these private landowners. They plant about 4 million trees every day, and print on paper gives these landowners a reason to continue to forest and grow trees. If there is not a reason or a demand for product, for wood fiber products, for paper, they will be selling their land and looking for other ways to make money. They have taxes that are due on the land. The majority of them are holding that land for reasons other than recreation. So we've established that we've got this great forest land in North America, how important it is. Chain of custody or certification is very important to making sure that those forest lands are managed the right way, that the wildlife that is a part of that forest, the biodiversity of that forest, is protected, that the water within the forest is protected, and chain of custody sustainable systems help us do that. You're probably most familiar with these three. These are the most popular chain of custody plans or organizations. So a chain of custody program would allow us to track, once that piece is produced, all the way back through the system, through the mill, back to the forest land, and tell you where that fiber came from, that piece of paper was made from, and then everyone that touched that chain, and ensuring that there is legal harvesting and legal fiber. So again, we've got two really strong programs and really strong ways to protect forestry, the forests in North America, sustainable forest programs, as well as making sure that when products come into the country, you're not buying something that's illegally harvested. So between Forest Certification and Lacey Act, we've got a good system here in North America. When we look at recovery rates within the municipal waste stream, that's where this information comes from. And as you compare paper with glass, metal, plastics, especially plastics, we're recycling at much, much higher rates. We're looking at 62% versus plastics at 7%. So we've got a really robust, a really strong recycling program in North America. So finally here, making some choices. I am not here to bash digital or electronic media. I think you heard some great stories and you have good information about how print plays well with digital media, how it integrates well with other media. But I think there's a perception that if we don't print something, that we have very little footprint. So let me share a few things with you here. First, we've talked about how paper is biodegradable, reusable, recyclable. But as much as we like our electronic devices, they don't grow on trees, and they're not made from renewable sources. I think this statistic is really telling, something to think about. When I just showed you the recycled, the strides we're making in recycling paper, when we take a look at our electronic devices, only 18% of them are being recycled right now. Only 18%. The rest of them are taken to a landfill. 1.84 million tons of these devices will be disposed of, or were disposed of in the United States in 2006. Moving forward over the next couple of years, we're looking at 30 to 40 million PCs that are going to need to be disposed of.